Number 2.
I buy the Texans. I didn't even think they played well against Chicago. They're young, and I could see them getting to the AFC Championship and making a silly play and losing to Kansas City. C.J. Stroud is insane. That kid is the most effortlessly accurate guy outside of maybe Burrow and Mahomes in the league. Nico Collins, his size, and they're comparing him to Andre Johnson. They got multiple weapons, a great left tackle, the quarterback, the coach, the culture, their defense right now, a lot of sacks. Again, Chargers, Texans, I buy. Saints, I kind of buy. Steelers at 2-0, don't make the hierarchy. And number 1.
Number 1.
All right, well, we're not doing number 1. We're talking about the Houston Texans right now. Okay, listen. Why can't I get... There we go. Listen.
Number 1.
The Houston Texans, to me, and C.J. Stroud are without a doubt one of the best teams in the NFL. I actually have them. I think I have them number 1. I wrote it down and I made the video before that I think they're the best team in the NFL. They have some things to work out, without a doubt, right? I want to see them continue to grow and progress and get better. But first off, Bobby Slowick's offense and the play calling, I think, is just it's poetry in motion. It is. I mean, I'm just in awe at it. And watching C.J. Stroud, this is going to sound like the most generic cliche thing ever, because I honestly can't think of anything better. And sometimes a corny cliche is all you need. He is as smooth as butter. I mean, it sounds funny to say out loud, but that's all I can think about when I watch it. It's just so smooth. I mean, like, it's just, I can't explain it. You guys know me. If you've watched enough of my videos, you know that I got the gift of gab, that I can just go on and on and on and on. I can talk about anything, man. I can talk about sheets and the ceiling and paint. I can talk about anything. CJ Stroud genuinely leaves me speechless. He does. He genuinely leaves me speechless. And this is only his second year. I mean, it's just so smooth and effortless. It's just unbelievable. It really is. Unbelievable. You give this guy time in the pocket, it's over. And even when he has to move around and throw on the run and go off script, it's unbelievable. I want to see him do that less. You always want to see your quarterback do that less, right? Because it's a difficult way to win in the long term, which I believe I talked about in a previous video. I think Dan Orlovsky was kind of talking about it on ESPN NFL Live, if memory serves me correctly. But the Houston Texans, they just have so many weapons. Their defense right now is hard to gauge. That's the one question mark I have around the Texans more than anything, because they played the Bears. The Bears' offense is just a disaster right now. It just is. They're having some serious issues, serious troubles. Caleb Williams is just not getting it right now, which is understandable. He's a rookie quarterback. And then they played the Colts, who I'm a firm believer in Shane Steichen, and they got Shane Steichen's and Anthony Richardson's best punch, right? Anthony Richardson, you either just get him, he's either literally like playing like he's the literal GOAT, or he's playing awful, right? He's just very inconsistent, honestly, not even game to game, like seemingly drive to drive, play to play. It's just a very difficult offense to understand what it is. So therefore it's hard to gauge the Texans defense. To be clear, I'm not saying that I think that the Texans have a bad defense or that it's a liability. It's just hard for me to judge right now. I would need to see more games from the Texans in that regard. But I just have tremendous trust in CJ Stroud. And I get what Colin is saying, though, that like they could be a top team, but they make a mistake in the playoffs and lose to the Chiefs. And that's just because of the experience that the Chiefs have. And not to mention, they have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Spags. And so they have the ability to make a mistake, but still make up for it. First off, they make the least amount of mistakes of any team, and they're able to pounce on the teams that do make mistakes. We saw that all last year in the playoffs. They literally were just able to overcome and minimize their mistakes and just pounce on the mistakes of the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the 49ers. That's how they won the Super Bowl. It wasn't because they had more firepower. It wasn't because they were necessarily by far the best team or the better team. The other team just made mistakes, and the Chiefs were able to execute more flawlessly. And if they did make a mistake, if Patrick Mahomes did throw an interception or something, the defense was able to step up and make sure no points on the board, right? Like, that's how you do it. That's how you win. That is a huge component of winning. And so you want to see if the Texans can do that. Can they take that next step? I believe they can. I believe they will take that next step. But this is where you figure it out. This is where you figure it out. I'm glad that they kind of had a little bit of a struggle technically against Chicago, because I'm sure they were thinking, oh my God, we're going to steamroll Chicago. I'm glad that there was a little bit, they had a scuffle on the sidelines, and they were getting in some fights. It's part of building throughout the season. I don't want to see it keep happening, of course, but it's part of, iron sharpening iron, right? Like, you need to go through some of these ups and downs. If it's too easy and then you get to the playoffs, then you're kind of shell-shocked because you've never been in this moment. And technically the Texans could have lost. I mean, they absolutely. If the Bears had a better offense, they could have come back and win. Kirk Cousins led up, a game-winning drive in a minute 40 seconds against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, it's obviously possible. It's not hard to imagine that Caleb Williams would have even been able to pull a magic out of a hat. He could have maybe potentially ripped off for a 50-yard run and then been a couple plays away from scoring. It's all legitimately possible. And you can't just say it was because of the Texans' great defense. You just can't. Maybe as the season goes on and we can look back and say that was a Texans defense, you just can't say it confidently right now, which is okay. You got to give that caveat to pretty much every single team right now because it's only week 2. But God, they just look so good, and when they're firing at all cylinders, it's just second to no one. Their offense right now, with their weapons, their quarterback, and their play calling, I think is the most cohesive and the best that we're seeing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's not saying that they necessarily have the best quarterback or the best weapons or the best coach, but it's the collection of all of them, that the averages of all of them is better than any other team. Right? I mean, it's safe to say, we can say that Patrick Mahomes is probably a better quarterback. I'm sorry, CJ Stroud has a little bit more to go before he's necessarily the best quarterback in the NFL. It's possible. It's definitely possible, but he does got to wait a minute or two. And Andy Reid is the GOAT coach. I don't think that's controversial really that much. And Spags is a great defensive coordinator. But when you put it all together, when we say, and because then there's another team, right, where Joe Burrow, great quarterback, lacking in weapons currently right now, whether it's because of injuries, contract disputes, whatever it may be, lacking in contract. Jalen Hurts has amazing weapons, questionable head coach, not a top 2 quarterback in the NFL, at least not right now, right? Like there's all these questions. Brock Purdy, how good of a quarterback is he? We know Shanahan's great coach. What about some of those weapons? Christian McCaffrey's down now, Debo's down, right? The Texans have a top coach, a top quarterback, and top weapons. Wildly productive and a massive threat. They do got to work some things out. Got to get that offensive line going. I want to see them establish a run better. Well, they established a run in week 1, pretty good. But I think week 2? I have my notes somewhere. I forget. I feel like that they didn't establish the run enough in a way that I was happy with. But I could be mistaken on that. I don't feel like shuffling around looking for my notes, because it's crazy. Once the game happens, I remember it all. I make my videos, and then a couple days later, I'm like, what happened? Who even won? How did that game look? Like, it's crazy. It can really just, when you watch every single game, it's hard to retain it all. But I really am excited by what the Houston Texans look like. And I just hope, really what I'm looking for is continued progress. I know we only think of, usually you think about that from like a rookie. You're like, okay, I just, when CJ Stroud was a rookie, Caleb Williams is a rookie, obviously right now. Like, you're just like, I want to see them get better week to week to week. And then you can forget that, like, you want to see that happen with lots of quarterbacks right now. Maybe not these seasoned veteran quarterbacks, unless they're coming back from an injury, but CJ Stroud is still growing. He's still getting better as a quarterback. And that's got to be really, really exciting. He's not even at his peak powers yet. And if all goes to plan this season, he will be getting there or reaching there by, I'm making up a number here, week 6, week 7, week 8, whatever it may be. He's going to continue to get better with each week, get more comfortable. He's going to continue to understand defenses better. Tom Brady famously said that it took him like 10 years to finally, see every single defense, where there was nothing that he could see that like he hadn't already seen before, right? I mean, he admitted that he was continuing to learn year after year after year after year. And if that's what Tom Brady, well, it's certainly going to have for CJ Stroud. So that's exciting. You're going to see, you're number 2, you have an amazing quarterback, top quarterback in the NFL, and he's going to get better. You can't ask for much better than that at this point. You really can't. So, I'm just excited to see some more games and what the Texans can do. I'd love to see another close fight with another really equally good team, right? A team that we know is a true competitor who can really give a consistent punch, a team that like makes you uncomfortable. I want to see that. And then I also would love to see like a really dominant, there is no chance at all, like what the Saints did to the Cowboys, you know, a game like that. They don't have to, but I just would love that to kind of clarify some things. So sometimes in a blowout like that, you really, really can heighten what they can do, like the Saints and Alvin Kamara, right? You could that really heightened, that really magnified that run game is for real. And when they have that run game going and you give Derek Carr an open field, my Lord, is he going to hit those targets, right? Like it just can really clarify. And I want some more clarification with the Texans so they can kind of use that knowledge going forward. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Houston Texans being a top 2 team in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.